Fast fashion has evolved over time, but its environmental impact, it's getting worse. The fashion industry has changed a lot since it first started. The clothing industry is one of the worst contributors to pollution on Earth. Annually, 92 million tons of textile waste are created by the fashion industry, with 85% of those clothes ending up in the landfills. That's 21 billion pounds of textile waste going to landfills per year. And only 15% of that gets donated or recycled. The EPA reports that Americans generate 16 million tons of textile waste a year, which is around 6% of the total municipal waste. In New York City alone, more than 200,000 tons of clothes are wasted each year. Plus, the industry is also responsible for 10% of humanity's total carbon emissions. With such staggering numbers in mind, it would be useful to explore what exactly is driving this unsustainable behavior and what kind of impact it has on the environment. Fast fashion is fast in every aspect. They extract materials fast, produce cheap clothes fast, sell things fast, fall apart fast, and make it into the landfill fast.
Pure materials can more easily be broken down and reused. Blended materials are more difficult to actually reuse into a second life at a like fiber stage. So the kind of hardest to see second life is mixing a natural fiber with a synthetic fiber. For instance, cotton and polyester. The most common fabrication in all of apparel is cotton and polyester.
When we pump out cheaply made clothes with chemical dyes and synthetic materials, they quickly pile up, causing damage to the surrounding environment.
Microplastics are a concern. So microplastics come off of synthetic fibers, polyester being a big one. So a lot of clothing has polyester in it, and you're going to have microfibers that do come out in the wash is a big way. When you put it into water, go through a heavy use cycle, these little fibers come out, they go into the water stream, they go into drinking water, things like that. They're not measurable, but they have an impact.
Brands are starting to understand what customers want. More and more people are calling for clothes with low environmental impacts made by people in safe working places making fair wages.
Say that something was made in Brazil, but the brand is a sustainable retailer and provides information that says, hey, we actually make this footwear in Brazil, but we have the leather comes from Brazil, the footwear is made in Brazil, and then it's sold in the United States. Well, that's a great product because it goes to very few countries, right? It's not being grown in one country, woven in another country, put together in another, and then sold in another. And that allows you to really make a decision where it's like, yeah, it's probably being shipped on a boat from Brazil to the United States, but it's not going through as many touch points. When it comes to materials, I normally don't say avoid specific materials. I would more so say look for these specific things. The biggest thing is 100%. Look for a pure fabrication. If you think about something that is made by nature, nature makes things to decompose. And that is, if we put nature back into the earth, it will over time decompose. That is not the same with synthetic materials. So if it's made in the lab, it is not going to decompose in that way. If you're looking at individuals who love leather, great, look at sustainable leather options. There are leather manufacturers that are looking at maximizing where the use of the cow, for instance, what is the byproduct, how is this being utilized, and how is the animal taken care of during life? What is the process, how was it done, was sustainability considered to the highest extent it can be.
Patagonia is an example of a clothing brand that has fully incorporated sustainability into its mission statement. They promote works of activism and the leaders who are driving these forces. They map specific factories, mills, and farms that help make their clothes. Although Patagonia is leading the way in reducing the footprint of its clothes, this needs to be the norm.
There's a lot of younger brands that are coming out that really do focus on authentic and kind of integrity-filled ideas of design rather than design for profit or design for just revenue and numbers. It's designed for making people feel good and making the earth feel good.
There's a more designer level brand called Noah, and they've gotten a lot of recognition in the fashion industry for saying we're not a sustainable fashion brand. It's like they advertise it too, we're not a sustainable fashion brand. But they make a lot of moves to try and be more sustainable. And the reason they say that is they'll say, well, we still make product in one country and ship to another, for instance, or we're still making more goods every season than we can sell. So, whoops, but we're not doing it on purpose, and we're doing our best to minimize our impact. And that kind of transparency allows consumers to be like, okay, I know what I'm getting into. I know the impact I'm having, and I can try and support a business that's trying to minimize the impact they're having on people and the environment.
Although brands are responsible for the textiles they produce, we as consumers play a part in it as well. We can buy used whenever possible. Buying new means that there's a demand for newly produced items, encouraging brands to continue manufacturing more textiles when in reality, there are already too many clothes in circulation today.
Thrift stores still have a lot that are donated to landfills, especially the charity type of thrift stores or your Goodwill, which great organization, but they get so much in donations, they can't resell it all. So they still have a lot of backlog that they have to kind of figure out what to do with.
Like 80% of the stuff in Goodwill is not actually going to sell. So they ship a lot of that stuff to third world countries. And although that sounds like a lovely humanitarian thing, what it's actually doing is it's giving a bunch of our kind of just garbage, giving it to someone else who does not have the means to take care of it, the resources to take care of it in terms of like landfill or some kind of decomposition of those materials. And it also prevents those countries from having their own garment industry and their own thriving economy, because something that's a common practice in terms of like weaving, looming, stuff like that.
In conclusion, the fashion industry has evolved over time, but it's getting worse in terms of the environment. Fast fashion is here to stay, but we can influence it by voting with our wallets, buying less and better quality clothes, and supporting brands that are transparent about their supply chain.
Stella McCartney does great with like innovative textiles, so different kinds of leather and different like non-GMO, non-waste materials, and like 3D printing as well. Eileen Fisher does organic cotton. Girlfriend Collective, if you're looking for like just kind of cheaper but still eco-friendly things. There's also a wonderful book. It's called Fashionopolis by Dana Thomas, so I highly suggest that one as well.
Either upcycle it, remake it into something else, donate it, or swap it.
There's something for everyone at Sustainable Earth. For educators, we have games, classroom activities, and teacher awards. For small businesses, we have small business awards, courses, and articles. Feeling competitive? Want to become more sustainable? Get involved with our sustainability challenges. Head on over to sustainable-earth.org and join the movement for a more sustainable Earth. Act now, build a better tomorrow.